We've missed you.
Pour yourself a drink, pop some popcorn, throw those wings in the oven, grab any snack.
It is time to catch up over pre-show cocktails, or tea, or water, or whatever.
Before the curtain rises at our favorite place, the Stratford Festival.
Let's gab about the shows of the 2021 season, the plays, and the cabarets.
This is Showstarters
with Alexis
and Ijoma. Cheers! Hello and welcome to Showstarters. My name is Ijoma Imesawam. My guests and I join you today from Stratford, Ontario, Canada. We would like to acknowledge the traditional caretakers of this land, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Wendat, and the Neutrals. This land is governed by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant and Treaty 29, and I like to imagine all of the lives and the people that have lived and dreamed on this land. I am really excited to introduce our guests today, composer and designer Reza Jacobs and director Peter Pasyk. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
So Reza is an award-winning music director, arranger, composer, and sound designer known for his versatility in style and genre. His sound design and composition has been featured at theaters and festivals all across Ontario. He is a 5-time Dora Award winner in musical direction, 5. He has played Ted in 2 pianos, 4 hands at both the Globe and Centaur theaters, and he's also been the resident Canadian music director for Andrea Martin's one-woman show, Everything Must Go. Just before the pandemic hit, he was working as the musical director for Caroline or Change, starring Julie Black. And when I asked him what he was most proud of, he said taking time off to be home with his first daughter when she was born. And I just respect that and honor that. It's such a difficult thing to do in our industry. So I believe in that beautiful, beautiful moment. We also have director Peter Pasyk. He's a filmmaker working both in Canada and Poland, and an acclaimed theater director who has worked with Canada's leading theater companies, including Tarragon Theatre, Soul Pepper, the Shaw Festival, Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre, and Canadian Stage. He is very proud of his work directing the world premiere of Jordan Tannehill's Late Company, both in Toronto and then on a tour. He has participated in the prestigious Langham Directors Lab in both 2016 and 2017. When the world paused back in March, I was lucky enough to be part of what would be the production of Hamlet at the Stratford Festival stage. This season marks Peter's 4th with the Stratford Festival, I believe. Wow, it's so good to be here with you two. And now I would like us to imagine that we are joining together in person. And I so wish this was true, because when I asked where in Stratford Reza and Peter would love to meet up, we decided on a parking lot somewhere. I imagine us in that parking lot down by the festival, and the sun is kind of setting and the air is cool. We are sipping Negronis. So this is a Negroni, pretend. And Reza has a blender or a juicer. Oh, and we've got some juice, maybe. What do you have?
I actually have sparkling coconut water here.
Yes, sparkling coconut water. And we are going to have some pre-show drinks. So please grab yourself a drink, grab some snacks, and join us for pre-show drinks as we discuss this season's Midsummer Night's Dream. It is a production about infamous lovers caught in a whirlwind of magical influences, of power, of mischief, of will, of desire, and of dreams. Let's chat. Wow.
What do you want to know?
What do I want to know? Well, I mean, this is the great pause is hopefully being unpressed. You are now at 1 week into rehearsals, which is amazing because you know, I've done a few of these conversations now, and everyone's still in the, the pre planning of this, and you're in the moment. How does it feel to be making movement now as you go on this journey?
It feels good. It feels good to be working. Uh, our first week, like you said, we just finished a few hours ago. And we've been working on Zoom uh, until we know that we can get into a hall together. So we're not rehearsing in person. Um, but we're finding our way. There's a lot of good work that's happening uh, on Zoom, and we're gonna continue on Zoom next week, where we'll be learning some music and some choreography, and we'll be doing that together on our cameras in our living rooms, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah. It must feel amazing to be part of something that's actually kind of alive right now, you know. Reza, are you
Well,
gonna
I've been very moved and impressed by how much cohesion we're actually able to develop in this virtual rehearsal room. The ensemble is not waiting until we're in person to come together. We already are building what feels like a family, and it's meaningful.
was that a surprise, do you think? Are you surprised at how much connection has been able to be created through
Well,
Zoom?
I'm not surprised now that I know all the people, you know. The quality of the people in the room are very open-hearted people who are reaching across that digital divide to connect with their minds and their hearts.
Yeah, beautiful. Um, I'd love to start off kind of talking about the text if you're up for that, because I mean, Shakespeare did not write a 90-minute play. How has that process been? Is it still evolving, or how has it been cutting this play?
Yeah, it's for me. It's a process that I started many months ago, uh, and it's definitely a large part of the work that happens before rehearsal begins, so that that's not on the group to do, and it's an exercise in essentializing the action, um, and and of course there's something lost, but on the other hand there's something gained too, because um, yes, it's a 90-minute version, and that's part of um, the COVID approach to producing theater here this year. One of the things that has made it possible, and um, yeah, there's new elements of the story. I mean, it really challenges you to, boil the story down to its most essential elements.
Hmm.
Another one of the challenges, is uh, the fact that we're working with 8 actors,
Yeah.
um, and so, and this is a play with 20 odd named characters, and so there is a lot of double and triple casting in the show, um, but we've also managed to work that into, like, to create that constraint into a virtue that will also hopefully shine new light on certain themes in the play.
Yeah. That's- I confess that I begged for a copy of the script, and I really enjoyed it. I think that your cut is really exciting, and it's inspiring in its movement, and it really feels like really like that dreamscape. I love that feeling of things happening all of a sudden. And I mean, I felt amazing. I don't think I missed very much of the story.
Well, thanks. I'm glad you were, thanks for saying that. I think that there's so much action in the play, but there's also beautiful poetry and musicality to the language, and that's something that you have to balance, or I thought was important to balance, because if you cut it down to just the action, then the meaningfulness of the play sort of goes out the window. So that was probably the challenging part. On the other hand, we're taking a kind of contemporary approach to the production, and I think that the essentializing of some of this text helps serve that. And as a contemporary audience member, I'm very used to a 90-minute story, because of cinema and all of that. So there's something for me accessible about that.
I also love Peter's cut of the script. And when we first read it with stage management and some other people in the virtual room, everybody said after that they know that it's been cut down a lot, but that they didn't miss anything. And it's a testament to the muscularity of this cut.
It's great the word that you use, that muscularity too, because I get that sense. And as much as, yes, there's poetry and there's beautiful language that is obviously going to be lost a little bit, your drive to find the essential and to promote and to highlight that essential story, I think you've done it really successfully. And I'm looking forward to seeing the production, and also, one day seeing a full version again. But this is a wonderful exploration, I think. Reza, I'd love to maybe talk a bit about music, because music is very prominent in Shakespeare's plays. A lot of his plays, he writes music into it. There's atmosphere, environment, songs within the plays. What are you able to tell us, without giving too much away, about the music for this production and your inspiration or influences as you composed the music?
Well, you alluded to something earlier about the dreamscape and how in a dream, things can change in a moment. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm trying to capture in the score, as Peter has captured in the script, is that kind of vicious sometimes unexpected, sometimes, sudden changes, I'm using a bunch of different instruments. I'm using a synthesizer, an analog synthesizer. I'm using some strings. I'm using percussion. I'm using the sound of tools. I'm using, and we also have a lot of props that we have found to incorporate sort of Foley-inspired soundscape into.
Can you just give a little description of what Foley sounds are for those of us watching that might not know what Foley sounds are?
So Foley is the art of providing all the sound effects to a movie, because when they're filming a movie, they can usually only capture the dialogue. So all the sounds of footsteps and a match being lit, birds, whatever environmental things are added later. And they have a wide variety of ways of doing that, so we are experimenting with some of those ways to incorporate them into the...
Both live and pre-recorded, potentially?
Yes. I mean, that's one of the things we're going to figure out when we get into a room, because with 8 people playing all these different characters, people are playing 3 different characters, So it's a question of working out the circus act of it, I'm
going to give a shout out to all the actors in Peter's production, because what a one incredible challenge to step up to, but to all of the characters in Midsummer Night's Dream are full and complex characters on their own. So to play multiple ones in this production, I'm just going to give you a little, shout out, because I'm going, wow, that's a big feat during this time too, and exciting as well.
Yeah, well, we have an incredible cast, and this is sort of the perfect ensemble play. As you're sort of alluded to, that everybody carries an equal load. So it's a beautiful showcase for this really talented group, and there's some new faces to the festival, and also some veterans of the festival, that have been audience favorites in the past. And so I'm really excited about the mix in this group.
That's fantastic. We spoke a little bit before in a little prep for this talk about the inspiration behind this production, and you've hinted at a little bit, Reza, but it's, if I can say, like a little bit focusing on the dream aspect of Midsummer Night's Dream. What can you tell us about the dream world in this production of Midsummer Night's Dream? We kind of talked about lucid dreams and nightmares, which I think, that there is a really kind of bad dream aspect, at least I see from the story. It's a bit, not always the mischievous is what I kind of said before. What can you tell us about your dream inspiration?
In thinking about this play and in its and a contemporary context, I was really interested in the dream element. The thing about the dream. In the title, and the story basically is about a group of people, high class, low class, folks that all sort of converge on the same night in a forest, encounter a group of fairies and, all come out, emerge the next morning from the forest forever changed, and so, we're treating the night, the forest, as a dreamscape, as the action that happens in the minds of the characters, and that's how some of the doubling works. That you see these waking characters, and then they become a different side of themselves as different characters in the dream. I was really interested in this sort of inspiration of surrealism and and the way that dream logic works, and like Reza was talking about, how dreams can sort of change on a dime, that you can be flying in your dream, having an adventurous, beautiful flying dream one moment, and the next moment you're falling and you wake up in a terrible fright. And so I'm really interested in exploring that, the sort of the polarity between desires and fears and all the things that we work out subconsciously, in our minds while we sleep.
In some ways, it sounds like you are describing what we've all been through with the pandemic over the last year and a half, where we've been wrestling with these polarities in our subconscious and also in our conscious, wondering when we will come out of this forest of what seems like a dream. Because I don't know about you folks, but for me, time has been really movable over and flexible over the last year and a half. And that's what a dream is like. You can live a lifetime in a dream. And I imagine that if I were in an audience watching this show, it's possible that would resonate with me, that I would see people going into a forest, into a dream that is scary, but also transformative, and then come out the other side. And so I find myself asking, how have we transformed as we now begin to emerge from this forest?
Yeah, and I'll add too that this element of dream, I think it's affecting design decisions, and it's a stylistic kind of approach to the story. But the dream is under the umbrella of a larger theme that we're exploring, and with the play, which is the power of the imagination. The human imagination manifests in various ways, through art, through play, through love, and in dreams, and all of those elements are, critical plot, points in this play, so I think that the whole play is a celebration of imagination. And at this time in particular, with this, return to theater, I myself have a great appetite to have my imagination engaged in that way, because I've watched a lot of Netflix. I've got my fill of that.
I do know. Yeah, I think many of us can talk about our fill of Netflix. I love what you're talking about this overarching theme of imagination, and that it can be both positive and negative things that can inspire us, or even just seeing something in another person. I mean, this is a play, so we're all living and watching these characters navigate the world in which they're in, the world in which they find themselves in, and the inspiration that can take us to our own lives, and it's a different type than Netflix. There's a lot of COVID kind of protocols and restrictions. It really evokes the imagination of the audience member to imagine where they are, and that happens, when we're in a big theater, in the festival theater, and you're inside, and you don't have the sky, you don't have that. But this production is not in those circumstances. So, what about all these protocols and these challenges have kind of excited you? Has there been any discoveries or inspirations that have come from these confined areas of the show?
So much, and yes, of course, I understand what you mean by COVID restrictions, and but on the other hand, there was a question as to whether there would be any kind of theater happening at all at this time. And so, in a way, these are the COVID possibilities. There's been some very clever planning, and thoughtful management of the situation to create circumstances that will keep audiences safe, and contact minimal and all of that. And so it's happening under a tent, outdoors. It's 90 minutes without an intermission, so that to promote contactlessness, in and out kind of thing. And I mean, what I've said in rehearsal and what I think is that it's a once in a lifetime adventure.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be telling the story of this one for a long time, and anybody who is able to come, I imagine it'll be a very unique experience.
For sure.
And we get to go back to pay homage to the origins of the festival theater. Like, we're doing Shakespeare underneath a tent, that has just been put up just for this.
I know I saw some photos on social media of the workers pulling the tent up, and I thought, wow, this is history, it's gonna be like the original tent going up and the people pulling, that's a statue that's right by the festival grounds. But now again, this is another tent. This is another return to that origin. This production, I know, is already inspiring and firing up my imagination and sparking a lot of hope and joy in me. What do you hope your audiences will be sparked by, or what do you hope your production will spark in the audiences that see this production?
I hope that what they take from the play, what they experience when they come and watch it, is joy. It's been a long time since we were able to all be in a theater together. And the experience of being in a theater as opposed to being in front of a screen is so completely different in the anatomy. Your heart and your breath, your mind actually gets synchronized and starts to beat in rhythm with the other people in the space. And that is where transformation can happen, is when we feel together. And so I hope that people leave with that experience.
I hope that this production of Midsummer Night's Dream brings a new perspective on the play for the audience. It's a play that we're so familiar with in some ways that so many folks are familiar with, and I hope that the way that we're approaching it shines new light on it in surprising ways. And and there's also some elements which I won't give away at this time, but I can also promise a unique window into some of the what usually happens backstage at a theater. Some of those there will be a unique opportunity to see some of the inner workings of theater making that's cooked into this production. But that's all I can say right now.
No, I love that. I just want to lift up some of the things you said, which was just share in a moment and to surprise them, the viewers, the audience members. And Reza, you mentioned, that they're all going to be, theater is about coming together. And when you come together and you're in the theater, there is a palpable synchronization of breath that happens, which is one of my favorite experiences of theater. And I offer that whether you're viewing this production live and in person and going on that journey and breathing together, you'll also be journeying with everyone in breath as you view this virtually at home. And that it made me think of breathing and how you synchronize your breath when you sleep. And so that everyone who watches this production will not only be viewing it and breathing together, but essentially dreaming together as we all go on this journey. And I just was like, oh, that's really beautiful. And so everyone will be dreaming and sharing this new perspective on Midsummer Night's Dream that is very special to everyone and the director. And I think that that's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you, Reza. I'd love to end the conversation with the cheers. And so I ask you both, what are we cheersing to in this production, in the theater world in general? What shall we cheers to?
To living our waking dreams.
Living our waking dreams. Cheers to both of you. Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Showstarters. Please be sure to check out the other episodes on the plays and Alexis Gordon hosting the cabarets that will be part of the 2021 season. Until we meet again, virtually or in person, be well.